Hey everyone, in this video, I'm going to show you exactly how you can set up your Airbnb property. We're going to share a lot of insight on some lessons learned and things that you need to have done before posting that and becoming a host. Hey there everyone, it's Russ with the Mortlock Real Estate Group, and today we're going to be talking about short-term rentals. There's very many different platforms that you can use, from Airbnb, VRBO, and this is a big hot topic in the real estate investment community on that the potential to triple, double your cash flow with using these short-term based rentals. And today I'm joined with Jen, who is a well-known and very experienced real estate investor who does Airbnb, and she's going to share some insight with us on how to do it properly and get the boots on the ground and get going. Okay, Jen, so my first question to you about doing Airbnb is, how does the platform work?
Well, the specific Airbnb platform, there are a couple of different platforms. VRBO is the other more well-known one. But basically, the company allows you to upload your listing of your property, and they have all of the tools for booking, maintaining records about who's been there, who's coming in how many days, and also being in communication with the client. They do take a percentage of the rental amounts. There are a couple of different ways you can set it up. You can set it up so that the guest pays for it. You can set it up so that you pay for it, and there's a split option as well.
Awesome. And have you found it pretty user-friendly using the Airbnb site?
Very user-friendly, and it's very customizable. So you're able to set up, how many minimum nights you want people to book for. So on one property, you might want a minimum of a week booking, and on a faster turnaround property, strata or that kind of stuff, you might allow a 2-night booking. And you can definitely go in there, you can change your rates, you can change ages of who's allowed to rent, all of those kinds of things.
And at any point in this video, you have any questions about doing a short-term rental, drop in the comments below and we'll make sure we answer them for you. Hey, and for everyone, make sure you stick around to the very end of the video where Jen's going to share her pro tip on getting your Airbnb started. Okay, Jen, so when you were setting up this place, what was some market research that you did prior on what type of Airbnb or short-term rental you were going to get?
Yeah, so there is actually demographic companies that are set up. The one that I used is called AirDNA. And basically you can pop in an address and it'll tell you all of the Airbnbs and VRBOs that are listed in that vicinity and how much they're charging each night for a 2-bedroom or 3-bedroom, or if it's a difference between a strata and a single family house.
Amazing. So that makes it relatively easier, not having to go out there and do a whole ton of research. There is platforms and things that you can use that's relatively automated to do the search for you.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so my next question for you there, Jen, is how did you go about deciding if you're going to buy or do the rental arbitrage approach? So commonly known, and especially very popular in the States, is people who do rental arbitrage for their short-term rentals. And for people that don't know what that is, that's when you come to a landlord, you present yourself, you ask if they can sublet it to you so you can run your Airbnb. This is very popular and lucrative in the States because technically you don't have to put money down, you don't have to be the owner, you just make sure the numbers work where you're making a profit, they're making a profit. But it can be quite difficult to convince landlords in order to do this. But how come you guys decided to buy this absolutely amazing home, and what was your reasoning for it?
I think the reasoning was to have a little bit more control, and then you don't have the pressure of protecting somebody else's investment. This way, if something happens in one of our Airbnbs, it's us that's responsible for it, and it's not being put on a landlord. Certainly in a rental situation, you're still responsible for it, but there may be, more difficulties about trying to get something fixed when it's a landlord rental situation.
That's an excellent point. So with starting the Airbnb, how did you go about setting it up and furnishing the whole entire property?
Yeah, that was a challenge. We actually ended up furnishing it during the height of COVID times and with back orders on furniture and things taking 6 to 8 weeks to come in. We really wanted to get started right away. So we did actually end up furnishing a lot of our properties through Facebook Marketplace, Kijiji, Castanet, those kinds of things.
And a lot of people have said who have done it, it is kind of a bit of a challenge, even when you just go to the store and be like, hey, I want that, I want that, I want this. So in your guys' case, you're still able to do it and get the place up and running.
Yeah, and don't be afraid to hire the services of an interior decorator, because they're going to have a lot of resources for where they can source furniture. They know who has stock and who doesn't, because they're in the industry every day.
That is an excellent point. I know a lot of people try to kind of skip those professionals sometimes and take it on themselves, when the hassle-free approach, it might cost you a little bit more money, but it might be worth the time that it saves you in terms of going from place to place to find that furniture.
The biggest help we had was actually a staging company, and she was thrilled because typically people aren't staging their houses for sale right now. Because houses are selling so quickly, they don't feel that they need to do that. So we contacted a professional stager, and she actually had quite a bit of furnishings that she was clearing out to bring in new stuff, and was able to help us tie it all in together.
So here's always a big question that we get when people are saying they want to do Airbnb. What's the pricing strategy that you use to put a dollar amount on what you're going to charge a night? Because the sky could be the limit, you know what I mean, in some places.
Yeah, I think don't undercut yourself initially. It's okay to maybe start a little bit high and then lower your price until you see where you're getting a lot of attention. But there are resources out there that can help you to determine the pricing. Airbnb, for example, will give you a range of what is being rented in your area and a suggestion for that. And they have something called smart pricing. So if they see that there's a lot of people searching for a particular weekend, it might increase the price for you just for 2 of those nights, kind of thing. So they've kind of got an algorithm that works. And then going back to AirDNA, that's another resource for seeing, okay, there's a house up the road that has 1 bedroom more and they're renting for this, I should be rented for this. So really do your research and check out the resources. Don't be afraid to pay for a membership, because the amount of use that you'll get out of it and the wisdom and the information from having all of that data is really going to help you succeed.
So now we've got the property, we got it all staged, we got it ready to rock and roll. How do you go about posting on the platform? And what were some key things that you highlighted in your description when you're trying to set your property apart from other listings in the area?
Yeah, so you really want to highlight if it has things that people are really looking for on vacation. So in the Okanagan, obviously, that's our wonderful views, or it's having a swimming pool or a hot tub, or maybe it's proximity to the beach. You want to highlight that thing that's going to make them want to stay at your place versus another property.
So one of my last questions I got for you here is, being a host, what are some tips or tricks that you've found that have been effective in running your Airbnb?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is having a system in place for every guest, so that it's consistent with every guest. It's like going to McDonald's, right? The fries always taste the same. The burger tastes the same whether you're in Kelowna or Yorkton, Saskatchewan, right? It's just always the same. So having that system where every guest who comes gets the same treatment. And then also really, really important is having a team that is very consistent cleaning the property and having a backup plan. Quite often we'll have guests check out at 10 and new guests check in at 4. And so your team needs to be on it, and they need to have great eyes on the house and look for things, that maybe aren't in a traditional clean, but a guest has broken something or something like that. And being on top of those things so that the house is always the cleanest one they've ever stayed at. So
setting those expectations high for your guests when they come in, and having that team is super crucial, right? Because as soon as you come in, you want it looking spick and span. And like you said earlier in the video, having it staged, they're like, holy, this place is set up awesome. It's ready to go, and look how well they did presenting it. And it was everything that they said in the description too, right? The worst thing that can happen is you have these high expectations to come into such a beautiful place, and then it's quite mediocre when you actually get there.
Yeah, and I think communication is another one, Russ. If a guest is messaging you 10 minutes after they get here, make sure that somebody is ready and available on the app during that time when you know guests are checking in, because they're going to be asking, where's the Wi-Fi password? Even though you put it in a photo frame right at the front door where they walk in, there's going to be questions, how do we work the TV or that kind of thing. So always having somebody available to respond to messages really quickly really helps your reviews in the end.
That's a great point, yeah. And for all those people that are wanting to jump into this journey of Airbnb where they can double, triple their cash flow, get into that lucrative market that it offers us, what's your pro tip for them to have success?
Well, number one is jump in, take some action, get out there and start looking at properties, make some offers, get a real estate agent like yourself who is going to do the research and help them out with the research. But also talk to property managers. That can be a big resource for you. But my biggest tip is just jump in, get started on the journey.
Yeah, get going. It's kind of funny, like you always put off stuff like, oh, I wish I could have done this, or woulda, coulda, shoulda. When if you just would have jumped in right away, made it happen, you're gonna learn along the way. And I'm sure in your journey of doing it so far, there's things you would have done differently that you do now in terms of having success, but you're gonna learn if you take action today. And that's what they need to do.
Yes.
And if you got any questions about setting up a short-term rental or jumping into that Airbnb market, leave it in the comment below or reach out to me directly at kelownahomesource.com. And I hope you got value from this video, and if you did, like and subscribe to the channel for some more great real estate content coming your way.